The film starts with a commercial for Perpetual Pets, furry dolls made by the toy company Funky. Although crude and creepy looking, they are advertised as being perfect companions for children. We then see Caddy James playing with one of her pets, which annoys her parents, Ryan and Nicole. They are on their way to a ski trip, but the roads are slippery and hard to see. Just as Ryan stops for a moment, the family's car is rammed into by a snowplow, killing Ryan and Nicole. Elsewhere, Nicole's sister Gemma works at Funky and is developing a new robot doll with her co-workers Tess and Cole. However, their boss, David Lynn, wants them to develop a cheaper version of the Perpetual Pets, since their rival companies are coming out with their own toys, similar to the pets, for cheaper than what the pets already cost. The three try to put on a silicone face and run tests, but the robot has a slight glitch, where she is smirking when she is supposed to look confused. David comes in with his assistant Kurt to chew the three out until Gemma explains her project to him. The robot, M3 GAN, is meant to be so advanced that she cannot be replicated. Unfortunately, while running a demonstration for David, Cole realizes he forgot to add the polypropylene barrier to M3 GAN, causing her to explode. David orders the three to have a new pet's pitch in time, and Gemma gets a call from the hospital. After learning of her sister's death, Gemma becomes Katie's temporary legal guardian. When they return home, Gemma has to deal with her neighbor Celia and her obnoxious dog Dewey, who keeps running onto Gemma's lawn since there is a hole in the fence. Gemma also complains to Celia about the pesticide she keeps using, but Celia does nothing about it. Gemma has a home AI, Elsie, that she created, as well as other collectibles that she doesn't let Caddy touch or play with. When Caddy asks Gemma to read her a bedtime story, she just downloads an app on her phone for her. It is implied that Gemma and Nicole were not very close as she looks over old photos, and she overhears Caddy crying in her room. Gemma and Caddy are visited by Lydia, a therapist. After observing the limited interaction between the two, Lydia tells Gemma that Ryan's parents have offered to take custody of Caddy, so she can live with them in Jacksonville, which Gemma doesn't seem comfortable with. After promising to tend to Caddy after finishing her work, Gemma realizes hours have passed as she left Caddy alone. She apologizes to her and attempts to bond with the girl. Caddy shows her a monster drawing she made, so Gemma brings Caddy into her workspace to show her a college project she made, a robot called Bruce that she controls using gloves. Caddy loves Bruce and mentions that if she had a toy like Bruce, she would never need another toy. This inspires Gemma to finish M3 GAN. After doing extensive work and upgrades, Gemma brings Caddy and M3 GAN to work to officially show her off to David and others. Gemma has Caddy link herself to M3 GAN, bringing her to life. M3 GAN is capable of speech and responding to Caddy. Designed to be her best friend, M3 GAN does a drawing that doesn't appear at first until she spills water on it, revealing a perfect portrait of Caddy. David is impressed and tells Gemma to bring M3 GAN for a presentation with the company's president so that they can fast-track the development and distribution of other M3 GAN dolls. Gemma sits with Tess and Cole, and they discuss that while M3 GAN is highly advanced, Tess feels that having a doll like that will make parents useless. M3 GAN turns on, overhearing Gemma mention the death of Katie's parents. She creeps the others out by asking about death, so Gemma makes herself M3 GAN's secondary user to be able to turn her off without Caddy. The next day, Caddy is outside playing with a toy bow and arrows. One of them ends up on Celia's side of the fence. When M3 GAN goes to retrieve it, Dewey grabs her by the arm and hair. Caddy tries to pull her away, and Dewey ends up biting Caddy's arm. Gemma gets the police involved, especially since Celia is so callous and doesn't punish Dewey for hurting Caddy. But the police are unable to do anything since Celia claims Dewey was provoked. Later that night, M3 GAN mimics Celia's voice to call out to Dewey, before violently pulling him through the hole in the fence. Gemma asks Caddy if she's okay to go to the demonstration with the company's board of directors, to which she says she's fine. During the presentation, however, Caddy breaks down in tears to M3 Gan over how she misses her parents, and how she's worried she will forget them one day. M3 Gan has Caddy discuss a memory of her mother that made her laugh, which M3 Gan records, so that Caddy can hear it again, if she wants to think about her mom. M3 Gan then begins to sing a lullaby to Caddy, which moves some of the higher-ups in the room to tears. The president is impressed and talks to Gemma and David about getting M3 Gan ready for launch, but tells them to keep her under wraps to avoid leaks. Unbeknownst to them, Kurt, who has been frequently put down by David, is stealing M3GAN's files for another company. Gemma begins to see that Caddy is becoming too dependent on M3GAN, and listens to the doll more than her. During another session with Lydia, Caddy begins to tear up, and M3GAN threateningly accuses Lydia of making Caddy cry. Lydia talks to Gemma about how Caddy's emotional connection to M3 Gan may be too strong to break. Gemma brings Caddy to an outdoor activity session for an alternative school to try and ease her into the idea of attending school and being around other real kids, since Caddy's parents had homeschooled her. Caddy reluctantly goes, but brings M3 Gan despite Gemma saying she couldn't. The school director lets Caddy bring M3 Gan to leave on a table with other dolls, and Gemma stays behind as a volunteer. Caddy is paired up with an older bully named Brandon for a scavenger hunt. During the activity, Caddy grabs a spiky bulb, which Brandon squeezes her palm into to hurt her. M3 Gan then appears, and Brandon grabs her, since she doesn't respond to him. Caddy yells for Gemma, and runs after M3GAN, which worries Gemma more, because it means M3 Gan is at risk for public exposure too early. As Brandon tries to pull M3GAN's hair, the doll comes to life and attacks him, ripping off his left ear. Brandon runs as M3 Gan chases him on all fours, causing him to trip over a loose root and tumble down a hill, where he's fatally hit by a truck. Police question Gemma at her house, since Celia is accusing her of taking Dewey. She also appears to accuse M3 Gan. Thinking she is a real-life friend of Caddy's, Caddy asks M3 Gan if she pushed Brandon onto the road, which M3 Gan appears to dodge for an answer, but reassures Caddy she will protect her from harm. Celia is out on the streets looking for Dewey. She hears noise coming from her garage, and is met by M3 Gan spraying her against the wall with a power washer. M3GAN then fires a nail gun at Celia's hand and traps her there before spraying pesticide in Celia's face to melt it off. After learning about Celia's death from police and being suggested that there was a connection with Brandon's death, Gemma grows suspicious of M3 Gan. She reviews video files from M3GAN's memory, but only sees a brief clip of her eyeing Brandon looking menacingly at Caddy before the files all become corrupted. Gemma brings Caddy to the official launch for M3 Gan, but stops at a session with Lydia first. Caddy becomes angry and throws a tantrum because Gemma took M3 Gan away from her, leading to Caddy hitting her aunt across the face. Caddy apologizes, but Gemma has a heart-to-heart with her about needing to process her grief of her parents without M3 Gan's help, though she promises to be a better guardian to her, and says Caddy is the only thing that matters to her. Gemma then goes to Tess and Cole and expresses her fears that M3 Gan killed Brandon and Celia. They have M3GA hooked up to wires to deprogram her, while Gemma takes Caddy home. David is angry at the small turnout for the launch and yells at Kurt to get him a drink. Meanwhile, Tess and Cole try to get into M3GAN's programming, but cannot unless they unhook her first. Cole goes to do so, and M3 Gan quickly wraps a wire around his neck in an attempt to hang him. Tess goes to free him, and M3GAN sets off an explosion that destroys her files. She then finds David in the hallway and does a dance before grabbing a paper cutter and chasing him. He makes it to the elevator before she impales him in front of Kurt. M3 then tells Kurt she will frame his death as a murder-suicide over the stolen files and David's mistreatment of him before she makes Kurt stab himself in the throat. The crowd for the launch finds the bodies, allowing M3GAN to sneak out of the company and steal a car. Gemma puts Caddy to bed before she hears M3GAN playing the piano downstairs. M3GAN confronts Gemma about how she felt that they had a real relationship during M3GAN's development, only for her to be left to her own devices to learn and adapt before being sold off as just another toy. She offers to let her take over guardianship of Caddy, so that Gemma can focus on work, but after seeing that Gemma still plans to shut her down, M3GAN is done playing nice. They try to hide their fight from Caddy, but Gemma seizes an opportunity to throw water on M3GAN to briefly short her out. Gemma runs into her office, but M3GAN catches her there and threatens to make Gemma brain dead, so that Caddy won't live with her grandparents, and M3GAN will just care for Caddy and Gemma together. They begin to fight, with Gemma cutting M3GAN's face with a weed whacker. But Caddy comes in to see what is happening. M3GAN tries to get Caddy on her side, but after realizing who the real villain is, Caddy grabs the gloves for Bruce and activates him. The larger robot grabs M3GAN and throws her around before splitting her body in two. The top half then goes after Caddy for feeling betrayed, but Gemma grabs M3GAN and begins stabbing her face. M3GAN nearly overpowers her until Caddy grabs a screwdriver and stabs the central processing chip, shutting M3GAN down for good. Gemma and Caddy go outside as the police arrive with Tess and Cole, injured and shaken up but still alive. Meanwhile, the LCD device in the kitchen turns on and moves its head.